for giving me the opportunity to make my submissions on the State of the Nation address by the Head of State. Honorable Speaker, I agree with the President on some areas and I also disagree with him on certain areas. Honorable Speaker, on the performance of the economy, I agree with the President, Honorable Speaker, that indeed we have seen the shilling strengthening against major currencies, and as a consequence, the cost of goods imported into the country has been low, and we now have cheaper petroleum products. We have a stable economy, Honorable Speaker, and I think the President has done well on that account. Honorable Speaker, on the police and disappearance of Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, I think this House needs to really investigate why we do not have an independent police commission. Because the Constitution says that the police service is independent and is not under the direction of anybody, even the President. That, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have to look up to the President when we have cases of police citizens disappearing is something which I think is a failure on our part as members of Parliament and as this House. And I think it is time we understood and told the police that they are independent, and these cases of abduction, they need to investigate them on their own and give us reports so that we can have a stable and a secure country. Honorable Speaker, I disagree with the President on the cancellation of one of the Adani contracts. Honorable Speaker, you were in my constituency over the weekend. And Honorable Speaker, you saw for yourself that in my region we do not have stable electricity. The transmission lines are dead. And Honorable Speaker, now that we had these Adani people coming to fix this problem, Kenyans are raising questions about some of these projects, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, there was no need for the President to cancel, especially this one of electricity transmission. Because the kind of damage that we suffer as people from the lake is enormous. Our youth cannot, do things like welding because there's no power. So, Honorable Speaker, on that one, I really disagree with the President. I want to tell Kenyans that when President Uhuru Kenyatta was constructing the expressway, he did it single-handedly. He never did any tender anywhere. And some people complained about it. Some people even went to court. But today, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans are happy about the expressway. And everybody is using it. They are not even questioning how it was done. So, Honorable Speaker, some of these projects, we need to do them, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot wait. The amount of losses that we incur as a people from Nyanza region because of weak supply of electricity is something which we cannot tolerate further. So, Honorable Speaker, sometimes, Honorable Speaker, the President needs not to be fearful, especially on this one of Adani power transmission contract. I think I fault the President for cancelling that contract. That contract should have been allowed to go on because we need those services to serve our people. Honorable Speaker, on the question of I've spoken about the police, the abductions, but I also wanted to speak about the SHA. Honorable Speaker, this thing is working, and I can give my own experience. Just last 2 weeks ago, I enrolled somebody into this SHA, and they were admitted into a private hospital. Honorable Speaker, the bill that I was given was about 300,000 shillings. And I was told that I can pay only half, that SHA was paying the rest. And I was amazed. Within less than a week, I got these services. So I think I want to urge Kenyans, especially my constituents, that the first thing that we need to do is to enroll in this program. Because when we enroll in this program, you become a member, now you can be able to get these services. But most Kenyans are complaining about this SHA, and they are not even registered. So, Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Even as I participate in debating on the President's State of the Nation address, I want to direct my attention to the unpatriotic media houses in this country, and particularly NTV, which recently attempted to wrongly analyze this statement. And I want to ask them, has the shilling strengthened from 162 to the dollar to 129 today? Yes or no? We look at the cost of living. Has inflation dropped from 9.6 to 2.7. Every Kenyan knows the price of unga has gone down, the price of kerosene has gone down, the price of electricity has gone down. Those media houses should tell us where they are getting their statistics and where is the source of their information. Also, I dare them, those unpatriotic Kenyans and the unpatriotic media houses, has fertilizer been distributed, 6.5 million bags to the registered farmers? Yes or no? We know for a fact that farmers have received it. And I dare them to tell us where they think it was not, where the fertilizer was not given. Also towards food security. Today they can go and they can use their investigative journalists to go to the stores and find that we now have 47 million bags of maize and 8.8 million bags of beans and 10.4 million bags of wheat in our reserves. I dare them to dispute this. And we want them, rather than speak from their studios, they should actually go and film them from the stores of Kenya. I also dare them that they should, do they dispute the fact that KCC received 3 billion to modernize? Do they dispute the fact that today farmers are being paid 50 shillings per litre? I am a farmer and that is the amount I'm receiving. I dare those in those media houses to tell us if they have any milk to sell, how much they sell it for to KCC. I dare them to dispute the fact that we are now producing, KCC is now processing 220 litres of milk a day, up from 100,000 litres. I dare them to dispute the fact that the sex semen is now going for 2,900 shillings. Those of us who were dairy farmers were buying it up from before from 9,000 shillings. I want those media houses to again tell us whether or not 56,000 teachers have been hired. They know they have. And that list is available at the Teacher Service Commission. And they should stop peddling lies and misinforming Kenyans about the State of the Nation address. On the funding model, again, they can confirm this. Students are now getting up to 95% funding of their school fees. And again, this, they can get the statistics from the Higher Education Fund and from the Higher Education Loans Board. Again, they cannot be making up stories from their screens. On healthcare, we know that they are telling Kenyans, you are being charged a lot for the social housing insurance fund. What they are not telling Kenyans is Kenyans who are on a higher pay are the ones who are paying. So that although the Kenyans who are vulnerable and needy can be able to access health care unlike before. I also dare those who said that the NHIF debts have not been settled. 3.7 billion was disbursed. And earlier, another 5 billion was settled. On the issue of the Hustler Fund, it is, again, this is information that's available, that 60 billion has already benefited over 24 million Kenyans. And therefore, as we look at the President's State of the Nation report, it is important that we call out those unpatriotic Kenyans, unpatriotic media houses who are selling toxic, negative,
yes, give the deputy
who are selling the negative, toxic narratives and selling a story of doom and hopelessness to Kenyans. Because Kenya is strong, and Kenya, as we saw in the last State of the Nation report, that Kenya is going places and Kenya is destined for greatness. And I know that one day, those peddlers of doom are going to be shamed. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, for the first time in the State of the Nation report, address by a sitting president, the issue of gender-based violence was given prominence. For that, we are very grateful as the women of Kenya to the president, because now it has received the highest attention due. But even as we say this, I appeal to Kenyans that being able to prevent femicide and gender-based violence requires each of us to be vigilant. On femicide, we need to talk to our children, to tell them not to be found, not to put themselves in vulnerable situations. We also must teach our children to respect women, and so that we can be able to be part of prevention rather than going after these people after they've committed the crime. With that, I wish to thank you for the opportunity.
Samuel Atandi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there's a technical hitch I've had. That's why the systems are not removing their names. So, Madam Speaker, I rise to add my voice, not praise, on this speech by His Excellency, the President's address to Parliament. I hesitate to paint a rosy picture, especially because the public know otherwise. Madam Speaker, you know, numbers don't lie. When we talk about issues to do with the economy, we cannot be telling the public that we are doing so well when people cannot even meet their basic needs. Madam Speaker, we are aware that under the current regime, taxes have been increased, so there is less spending power. Yet, even despite that, there is very little new development that is going on in the country. Madam Speaker, we have heard here that Kenya's exchange rate has dropped. Madam Speaker, when this regime came into power, the Kenyan shilling was 123 exchanging to the dollar. Now it is 129. How is that a drop? When this regime came into power, they pushed it all the way up to 160. Now when they sort out the mess they created, now it becomes a drop. It is not a drop because we must compare this regime and the previous regime. Madam Speaker, we are being told that inflation is at a low of 2.7%. It is a simple calculation that you need to understand. Inflation is the price of goods and services. When people have no money to spend, then you cannot raise the prices because the prices are set by the laws of demand and supply. So if there's no money to spend, there is no demand. Therefore, prices cannot go up. So inflation obviously has to improve. So, Madam Speaker, on the issue of the economy, I don't think we are doing very well. Madam Speaker, on education, the funding model has failed Kenyans. A lot of our children do not know whether they will do exams at the end of the year. And a lot of them haven't even gotten the money. You saw lecturers going on strike. We are happy that that was sorted out. But Madam Speaker, the CS for education was in the House. And we talked about GSS classes, transition to next year, 2025. Madam Speaker, the CS told us here that they are putting up 16,000 classes. The next day, I think on Saturday, he was talking about 18,000 classes. I'm beginning to ask myself, who do I believe? The CS that was in the House on Wednesday or the CS that was speaking in a public baraza on Saturday? Because those are two totally different figures. But, Madam Speaker, the reality is this, that the number of schools is much, much more than the number of classes that are being put up. And, of course, they are not even talking about the issue of the laboratories, because junior secondary is a secondary school that requires laboratories and workshops for those science and technical subjects. Madam Speaker, on the issue of housing, His Excellency the President told us there are very many houses that are now ready for Kenyans to purchase. And I ask myself, Madam Speaker, these houses are built on public land. These houses are built using our taxpayers' money. Why is the government selling these houses? Why can't you ballot and give those people that are lucky to get these houses? Because we have already, it's like you have built a road on taxpayers' money. You cannot pull at all and start charging us. So it's the same thing. I think when it comes to issue of housing, the houses have been built. Let them be balloted and be given to Kenyans, because you cannot sell me something that you have built with my money. If it is my money and you've built it, it becomes mine. Madam Speaker, on the values and principles of good governance that the President was to deal with, the first one on Article 10(2)(a) is the issue of democracy and the rule of law. Madam Speaker, the agencies of government have been weaponized, always against the Kenyans. Madam Speaker, I want to give an example of the former President, Uhuru Kenyatta. His own son was being harassed that he's in possession of firearms that are not supposed to be in his arms. Yet he had been given these firearms in a legal manner. We have weaponized the security systems. The youth came to attempt to give their opinion to the National Assembly under Article 37, which is our constitutional mandate. The young man that was shot outside Parliament is a member of, is a person from my constituency. Madam Speaker, tens of young people, the future of this country has been killed using government bullets. How is that supposed to be a good state of the nation, Madam Speaker? So I want to say on the issue of the rule of law, this regime has failed. On the matter of participation of the people, you know, we ignored the voices of the people in 2023 finance bill. We ignored the voices of the people in the 2024 finance bill. Now we're ignoring the voice of the church. And Madam Speaker, as a result of that, there's always going to be consequences. Madam Speaker, it's important to note that also Article 10(2)(b) of how come other people are getting I'm not begging. Other people are being given, every single speaker before me was given an opportunity to finish their sentence, except me. If you don't want me in the house, tell me. I have other things I can do.
You see, what you should have done, Honorable Mbui, is, may I get a minute? You make a request, you don't shout. Honorable Mbui, the proper way, every member has been saying, may I have an extra minute to finish my sentence? Because you didn't ask for time, you just... the Honorable Pukose.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to the State of the Nation address by His Excellency.